Welcome to another episode of Talk to the Fedora, chatting about hard-hitting, honest entrepreneur wisdom that you can use to grow your small business. My name is Jarrod Goldsmith from eSAX Networking and Sax Appeal Productions, and today we're very pleased to be welcoming entrepreneur Tiffany Drummond on our segment today. Tiffany is the co-founder of PROCARE, the PROCARE Family Center in Ottawa, a licensed child care center. Becoming an entrepreneur at the ripe old age of 22 has pushed Tiffany out of her comfort zone and has also given her wonderful opportunities, many of which have come through networking. At PROCARE, Tiffany has helped create a space that goes beyond traditional childcare, one that fosters connection, belonging, and community. Love that community angle. She leads workshops, playgroups, and family events designed to empower parents and educators with practical strategies rooted in child development, including topics such as positive parenting, simplifying environments, and embracing play. In addition to her work at PROCARE, Tiffany teaches field placement students through the Algonquin College, mentoring future educators and supporting them as they grow in confidence and practice within real learning environments. Tiffany is also a co-creator of Rooted Acres with her husband, a family-centered farm experience that brings children closer to nature, outdoor play, and animal care. Horse rides, birthday parties, workshops, and outdoor programs for children. However, after a devastating accident that left Tiffany in a wheelchair for 3 months, she spent nearly a year relearning how to walk again. Throughout this difficult journey, Tiffany continued to lead her business while learning on the strength and support of her network and community. Her experiences taught her that the importance of both inner healing and physical resilience. Through perseverance, mindset, and determination, Tiffany discovered that what it truly means to stay strong during life's most challenging moments. Today, she's going to be sharing some lessons and insights gained through her recovery to inspire and support others who are also navigating their own personal and professional challenges. Her story is a powerful reminder that setbacks do not define us, but it's how we rise from them that counts. Tiffany, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Jarrod, for having me on.
Well, that's a very impactful bio, Tiffany. So let's start a little bit first off on where are you calling in from, please?
I'm calling in from my daycare, PROCARE Family Center here in Ottawa, Ontario.
Wonderful. And so we touched just like a brief overview on some of your background and some of the experiences you've had, quite something, and that resilience angle. Can you share a little bit more behind Tiffany?
Yeah, so I'm born and raised here in Ottawa. I've always been passionate about working with children. I was babysitting growing up in high school. I worked at the Children's Place, a kids' clothing store, and I've always just been interested in helping young minds. So I worked in a childcare center and decided I wanted to have my own facility with my business partner, Aaron. We worked together for 4 years, and when we opened up our program, it was a whole learning curve. So at that stage, I was going to every networking event I possibly could to shake hands with professionals, to meet other people in the city, and to also get myself comfortable being uncomfortable, because business can sometimes be that. Yeah.
And no, it's very, very true. So many people have this great idea that they want to change the world, but they don't really know how to start. But something you realized early on is that, when you and I first started seeing each other, it's getting out and that community mindedness.
I completely agree. When you get out and you talk to other business people, you hear their stories, and that can inspire you or can open a door to a conversation with someone that could help you in your industry. And I found that for me was huge in just getting more clients, as well, helping the business grow in areas that I wasn't as strong in. That might be the accounting side of things, building the website. Like I mentioned at the beginning, I'm really passionate about working with children. But then when you grow a company and you have staff, you have HR components, you have your legal contracts, all of these areas that when I first started, I'm like, let's open a childcare center. And then all the other facets started coming forward. And I'm like, oh, I need support in this. And when you go to networking events, you'll have other professionals, whether they give reference, oh, come speak with this person. And it's really great community atmosphere in a professional setting.
Right. Thank you, Tiffany. Tiffany, who would resonate most with your story today?
I would say young entrepreneurs and anyone who's maybe going through an injury and navigating their own business or what that could look like. Hopefully I can inspire and speak to anyone that's listening to this, no matter what stage you are at in your business or in your life.
Right. No, that's important because so many people starting up a business or have been in business for a few years, they can probably relate to a few things that you've gone through, and I've gone through that. But so this is an opportunity to showcase some of that knowledge. Tiffany, let's talk a bit about some of your origin story. Why did you start?
So I started because in the industry that I'm working in, there's not so much areas of growth. It's a lot on seniority and being young and driven and wanting to do big things. It was kind of limited for me. So when I decided to step into the entrepreneurial journey, I come from an entrepreneurial family. My father had a construction company. My mom had a catering business. My husband grew up on a dairy farm. So we come from family where they would put their passion into their work and that became their careers. So with my father having a construction background, that really helped in renovating and getting the center set up. So I will say I was very fortunate in the starting stages of having people in my network and in my family that can help us with whether it's sweat equity or lending their time where we'd be able to pay back later to really get the brick and mortar of the center up and running. And when we got it running, I had then taken on the position with Algonquin College, supervising students all around the city. So I'd be visiting all agencies. And that was also another form of networking, going into these agencies, speaking with directors and other educators and assessing my students and observing them. I was able to see what the sector was providing across the board. And I was also able to staff my facility with the students that I've taught. I've also helped students get hired on at other facilities where they might message me saying, "Hey, Tiff, I know you're working with students. Do you have any students we're looking to hire in such and such program?" So I think that has also been another testament to the importance of networking and getting out there. Even when you have your own business, we can get caught up sort of within our own walls and with our own protocols and, kind of going into other places and seeing things, sharing. I think sharing is caring. So that way, you're supporting and growing and I think sometimes in business we get really, it's competition, it's competitive. I want people to come to my business where I have a different lens because I look through more of like a childlike lens. So I look at every child as you are all capable and possible of becoming anything you want to be. And there's enough business, there's enough people in the world that if you are passionate and dedicated to the service or the product that you're providing, you will have clients. So even with the other agencies, all of us have long wait lists. So to me, they're not competition. They're part of my network. And I think, well, from that, I've actually started a directors group in Ottawa with over 50 agencies that we could come together, share and talk and support one another. And that when I think about it on a larger scale, there's over 2,000 families that are enrolled in all of our agencies. And that is a huge impact. So
Wow. A few things you talked about, like that whole concept of collaboration, is something that really speaks dearly to me. I never considered anybody competition. And I think those who do don't get as far in life or in business as those who work and want to collaborate and realize the value that, and everybody says we're stronger together, all tides raise all boats, and that sort of thing.
I completely agree.
So, Tiffany, did you go to school for entrepreneurship? I mean, it's interesting that both of your families were entrepreneurs, like your parents. So at a young age, like first, did you work in the business, like the cake business or the construction business? And then what did you study as well?
So I went to Algonquin for early childhood education, and then I took the business marketing program, but I didn't complete the program. I ended up just opening up my business, and it worked out great. Here we are 15 years later. But growing up as a child, my mom, we used to call it Meals on Wheels because my dad was always at work. So we would get in the car and take my dad his dinner or his lunch. We'd be on the job sites wherever my dad was working. He was always great to let me do small, simple jobs that made me feel like I was doing something really important. I've also been an equestrian majority of my life, and a lot of that is labor of love. You are taking care of a horse. You have to not only just enjoy the ride, but you have to take care of the spider webs. You have to clean the like all the jobs that come with it. So from a young age, it's been taught to me, and it's been in my environment that to make work joyful will make it easier because we have to work in life, whether it's doing chores, cleaning your house, doing the dishes, our mindset is really important. So if we're looking at these jobs as daunting tasks versus oh, I'm going to feel great. It'll be done in a few minutes. And now it's off my list. It just makes it easier, more, a little bit smoother in just navigating
Sure.
life's jobs. So from a young age, I will say that it's, work has just kind of been embedded in me. It's in my DNA. And there are hard times. There are days I'm like, where's the white flag? What am I doing? I feel overwhelmed. And that's when I lean on my network. That's when I'll talk to the other professionals who also go through those little storms in life and in business. And when I say mindset, I've done a lot of work on just building up my mindset through watching podcasts such as this, listening to, watching videos, reading books, finding any kind of way to make myself stronger.
Wonderful. Which came first, Rooted Acres or ProCare?
ProCare. So Rooted Acres is brand new. Rooted Acres is kind of coming out of my accident, and also my passion for being in the outdoors. So ProCare opened in 2011. It was March 1st. And we just hit 15 years of business, going into our 16th summer of camp. Yeah, thank you. I feel so proud of that. My business partner and I have worked side by side through everything, but we wear different hats. She handles the finances, that side of the business. I'm more of the face of the business and dealing with the staffing and, family relations and such. But we joke together we are one person. So anyone that is in business, you might have a business partner that's not as passionate about something in the business, but they're very skilled or strong in another area. Let them shine in that area and you take on your strength. So you're not clashing, if you will. But yeah, so I feel just having that partnership has also made it easy navigating, the bumps along the road, if you will.
Right, right. Wonderful. I mean, there's something we hear often is that you are, as a small business, or maybe you're not a small business anymore, but those who are starting out, you're the window washer, the cook, the cleaner, the accountant, everything all in one. But finding somebody whose passion are skills that you don't want to do, that's the gold.
I think that's a secret ingredient because Aaron and I have never been in an argument. And when I tell people that, they're like, whoa, how? Like, that's wild. And we have monthly team meetings with our team. But even before that, Aaron and I have monthly team meetings, just her and I. How am I supporting you? What more would I need from you? What are our goals for ProCare? Because it's not anything about our egos. For us to be successful together, we need to nourish ProCare and the foundation for all the families and the staff to be a positive environment for people to come to.
Right.
So our communication has just always been very honest, very open and transparent. But I also think that reflects to what our sector is. Working with the vulnerable sector, working with children, we have to have that same angle when dealing with families and our staff. So definitely the communication with Aaron has been huge in just helping us and our different jobs that we hold with ProCare. But yes. Then I had my accident, and nature for me really became a healing point, a space that I could just kind of quiet out the noise and be in the moment. So as entrepreneurs, we are very busy people. We have multiple tabs in our head open, different tasks that we're thinking about, what's, prioritizing, what are we going to tackle? But we also got to remember that tomorrow's not guaranteed. And my accident really opened that lens for me to look at it that I could have all these plans for the next 6 months, but I didn't plan for my accident to happen. I didn't plan to be in the wheelchair or have to learn how to walk again. So that took all of those plans, put them on the back burner because my health, my mental health, physical health had to become a priority. And I had to lean on my network. I was still involved in ProCare more on a virtual level, but some days it was hard to show up because I wasn't showing up in the capacity that Tiffany would have pre-accident. Right. And then through that, as I mentioned, I've always been a horseback rider. I've loved being around animals and at the farm. So part of my recovery was getting my horses and really pushing me to do hard things again, or I can't sit on, I had an injury, I can't walk, or I can't do certain things. It was slow steps, but I had the support, and through that, Rooted Acres came to be.
Well, you were always moving forward, and that's an inspiration right there, because you had people who relied on you, your businesses. Yeah. Speaking of reliability, did you or Aaron ever have a coach or a mentor?
Great question. We had a coach for about 3 months, and we actually met her through one of your events. Right. And it was a great experience. It was at the earliest stages of our business, and the coaching really kind of just set us up for where we are at today.
Oh, that's wonderful. And over the years, have you been acting as a coach or mentor to help other people?
I have been. So through my Algonquin, I would consider myself teaching, coaching, mentoring the students, but I've also done side coaching, whether it's agencies that are opening up or agencies that are trying to do sort of a reshifting of their program. I've also helped coach young adults who are trying to figure out where to go in their careers and unsure what next steps to take. So yeah, and I love that. I find it's also a passion of mine, just to help people and to share and to motivate them to find what it is that they want or what it is that they are desiring in their careers or life.
I love hearing this. It's like it's coming full story, like, complete, helping a mentor in many cases younger up and coming entrepreneurs, business leaders in their own right. That concept of collaboration and coaching. Like I heard not too long ago that the purpose of, well, I'm generalizing here, older people in community are to help the younger. And in your case, you have so much experience that you're just giving back. This is wonderful to hear.
Thank you so much. I think, without giving back, we're holding in great information or knowledge or experience that can help someone else. And like we know, you can share your experience, but everyone has to go through their own journey to have their own experiences. But sometimes when something might take place, it might be, oh, that little nugget I heard from Jarrod, or I heard from Tiffany, or whomever, and can kind of connect those dots for them, or they can avoid certain scenarios because they've reached out to mentors. And
Right.
I think that is powerful for anyone.
Well, that's one of the reasons we're here today, Tiffany, is talking about that mentorship angle, helping the small business owners learn some actionable skills. So towards that end, let's talk about some branding tips. Do you have any branding tips you'd like to share about maybe your two businesses?
Yeah, for sure. So for me, branding is depending on the clientele that you're wanting to connect with. So for me, I'm wanting to connect with families. So I use social media, whether I'm sharing videos or live stories or just picture updates, making sure my website is up to date. I find for a brand, you want your brand to be easy to recognize and understand what services that you are providing. So PROCARE Family Center to me says families in the word. We have the word care in there, and it also kind of senses like community. That's how I felt. And when you go through our social media and such, you'll see what our philosophy is based on how our content is that we're sharing. So it's very much open-ended, loose parts, natural play, getting the children outdoors. We're all about sort of less is more, intentional practices, intentional setups. Because in my sector, you go into some spaces and they have every single toy that would come out of any toy store all in one room, and you're like, oh, this is overwhelming for me as an adult. So how would children interpret this space or this environment? How are they going to learn and such? But on a branding aspect, you want to be consistent. You want to show up for your clients or future clients. You can't just hope that they're going to come. So going to the networking events and having a script, whether it's a few key points that you would like to share about your business, because I could talk for an hour about my business, but maybe the person I'm talking to would rather talk to 10 other people and they're already kind of checked out. So what are my quick messages that I want people to hear, and then maybe ask more questions. And now we have that organic conversation taking place.
Right.
When it comes to Rooted Acres, my branding around that is about, connecting with the land and nature and learning with the animals and risky play and freedom of space. So those terms for families, especially if you're living in the city, is I want to experience that. And once they experience it, then all those terms are coming through in what their experience is, and then they come back and come back again.
Right.
So I
well,
really
something you talked about was the intentionality, being intentional in your branding. So people who are considering starting up a brand, how does one be intentional with that, Tiffany?
I would say I love having mind maps. So it's almost like you have sort of like a brain web, if you will. And what's your business going to be? What are you going to offer? And you could do it in stages and sections. So we have our initial idea of what our business is going to be, or whoever is watching, have your initial ideas. And then from there, kind of break them down into smaller ideas or more concrete sort of whether it's marketing terms or ways that you are going to share that idea to get your clientele. So I find always revisit your brand. I've done a rebranding. When we first opened, we were PROCARE After School Center because we were only for ages 6 to 12, and we did more of like an older age program. And then we opened up into the full day learning from ages 13 months. Now we go up to the school ages. But when we added the younger program, we were like, okay, we can't be PROCARE After School anymore because that doesn't reflect what we currently are. And our brand image had adult looking, like more adult children or older children, I should say, like jumping in our balls. You'll see, you probably have the logo somewhere. But then when we did the rebrand, we went to PROCARE Family Center and we made the children more younger looking. So that connected with families who might have the toddler ages to look at it. So yeah, I think revisiting your brand or your model is really important. And then have yourself like an area that you could do your brain dump, maybe a whiteboard. Maybe you have a notebook that you don't need to throw away. It's kind of fun to look back at all your thoughts and see how it progressed. So I have like a master notebook. Now that I'm into 15 years, I have a few of them, but I've never gotten rid of them because I love looking back and seeing where this idea stemmed from or how this evolved into here. So it doesn't have to be a concrete plan. Let your plan flow as your clients speak with you, as you're in your business and just seeing what's working or what you might want to shift. And if you make a shift, that's a great marketing opportunity.
For sure, absolutely. Everybody needs some pivots over time. Now, let's talk about longevity. You mentioned a little bit about the mental health issue, but what about time management? You have two businesses very, very active in the community. How do you manage your time, Tiffany?
I like to time block. So essentially, I also find it's like a game for me. So if I have something that I have to tackle, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to put on a 20-minute timer. Let's see how much I can get done. And I'm hyper focused. So maybe I want to, go through my email list, update something on my socials, and then attend this podcast with you. So this morning I would wake up, I'm going to have my protein shake and now I'm ready to get going. So let me go through my email list, respond to what I can. If there's something longer, I'll make a little note in my notebook. I'll get back to that later. So I find that time blocking has been very helpful because I also have ADHD. So my brain can be a little squirrely. I can be onto this and then shifting here and then I get a little lost. So when I got into more scheduling out my day, that made it a lot easier. We all have the same 24 hours in a day, and how we use them is important, but we're also in different stages and phases of life. So when I was going through my injury, I wouldn't have had the same capacity to show up as I am today. Maybe there's a new mother who's listening to this podcast and they're in the trenches of the newborn stages of the sleep deprivation and all of that. So they may not be able to show up in the same capacity as they can in a year from now. So give yourself grace. When you are feeling strong and healthy, show up in the best capacity that you can. And when you're not, create a list and see what you can get done or offload to someone else if you can't. It's about seeing where you're at and showing up for yourself where you're at. And if you have bigger goals, block in those times and you'll be surprised when you kind of set that timer, what you can get done.
Right. Well, thank you very much for that. It's important to differentiate, when people are most productive. Like, can you do like your emails? Do you have to be, top mental shape, or can we wait later in the afternoon? And it's prioritizing.
Yes.
Yeah,
I agree. And I feel like sometimes as entrepreneurs, we feel like we have to do everything now, but then we might drop some balls. And someone had told me a little piece of advice and it really kind of stuck with me because I would spend my weekends, if a parent would send an email being, hey, wondering if you have any spaces at PROCARE, I need to respond right now because I want it to look like I'm quick in my responses and that's just great service. But truthfully, responding Monday morning is okay. And I could use that time on the weekend to do stuff for myself. So on Monday, I'm not feeling as burnt out because I spent the weekend worrying about all these emails. Doesn't mean I won't respond to an email on a weekend. Of course I will. But I think for all of us, it's good to have like a 24-hour reply, if you will, because sometimes we can get glued to our phones. And the studies have shown us that being on your phones too much and constantly refreshing and checking your email or your social media can really be bad for our mental health. And so I think that is also important, not feeling like we have to be on our phones and constantly available, but at least be available within a certain hour period.
Right, right. And you mentioned mental health a few times. I mean, I can't imagine the circumstances that you had to deal with your health, learning how to walk again and for about a year. Let's talk about mental health for entrepreneurs. It's in the news once in a while. I'm sure we've all known people who've committed suicide because of the business and the stress. How does one deal as an entrepreneur, as a small business owner, with mental health?
I would say with mental health, I find, whether if you have a mentor, if you're in a position to hire on a mentor, I think that is really a great checkpoint. So you have someone that you can speak with, share any of your ideas or struggles that you're having. That is not family, not someone that's going to maybe, oh, it's okay, you'll be fine, or you did this to yourself because you took on all of these commitments, or any of that kind of. It could be a professional that is able to really help coach you through it, social worker, psychologist, or coach. Another thing I think for mental health is get outdoors. Find time to be outside, ground yourself, put your feet in the grass, look into the trees, and remember that this moment that you're in is so important, and the hard moments will pass. They're not just going to pass because you went outside, but those daily actions and being intentional. So my intention is to get stronger. My intention is to feel better. My intention is to figure out, why am I feeling torn between here or there, or wherever the person is struggling. And mental health is, it's all across all ages, whether you're a student, an entrepreneur, or a mother, or a father, or you're a senior now trying to navigate retirement. So I think mental health is having a network of people that you are safe around, that you could be honest with, read, journal, color. When I was going through my accident, my social worker helped me in. So Tiffany, typically your day has huge action items, big action items, where now my action item is, I actually wrote out a to-do list, because lists for me just make me feel like I'm in control, makes me get that onto a list. So my list turned into brush your hair, brush your teeth, color a coloring page, read 2 books, watch a video on YouTube. Like, it became very different, but that, for whatever reason, that piece of advice helped me feel like that day I was accomplishing tasks.
There's some structure to it. Yeah.
Structure. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned in dealing with mental health, leveraging your network. I know that is something big for you, but networking is one of my favorite topics. So you mentioned that much of your success early on came from attending events around the city. Do you care to share some networking tips for our listeners today?
Yes. So we're all humans. We are all showing up to, a lot of us are going to these networking events alone. So if you're going alone to a networking event, know that there are kind people in the room, and you'll see the smiling faces, and go up and shake a hand, join in a conversation. You could even say, this is my first networking event. I'm really excited to be here. People will then follow up with, what brought you here? What do you would like to share? People love to learn. I've come to notice, especially at networking events, they want to learn what's being offered in the city. They want to know what's going on. That way they can also help their clients you never know what industry they're in. And if their client is asking for something and they can provide a connection for their client, that also not so much looks good on them, but helps their community, their business, all of that. So if you're attending networking events, don't hide in the corner and just watch. I did that at a few events, and I left being like, I got no numbers. I didn't really talk to anyone, but I was there. So I come to learn that even if I had a goal of, I'm speaking to 3 people or 2 people at this event, that was super helpful. And then eventually those 2 people you spoke to, you might see them at the next event. Now they're no longer a stranger. They're an acquaintance, or maybe you spoke after the event. So now you have 2 more people you know and are comfortable talking to. Talk to 2 new people the next one, and just build that up. And eventually your networking events, you're almost going somewhere to see some of your friends or colleagues or someone you haven't seen in a while, and you can't wait to hear the update on their business.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, something that I really love talking about is expressing interest in helping other people further their cause, their business, their whatever they're looking for. To me, that's also a way to build community by doing so.
Totally. And with Rooted Acres, we are doing, like I mentioned, workshops and such. And it hasn't really even fully launched to the capacity that I have goals for it. So we're in like phase one of this business, and it's wonderful. But I have people reaching out asking, can we have a seniors residence come? Can we have some military's family come out? And it's organizations that are wanting to make this connection to nature and all. And to me, that's because of the networking that I've done with the PROCARE stage that has allowed the second business to take off before it's really taken off, which is really exciting.
Wonderful. You mentioned that this is phase one for Rooted Acres. Where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years from now for either both businesses?
So with where I see myself in 3 to 5 years, it's funny. If you were to ask me that question in 2019, Jarrod, I would have said I would have had 10 PROCAREs, and that was my goal at the time. Then COVID hit. I broke my ankle. The new $10 a day quilt program started. And now my business partner and I don't want to open another agency brick and mortar. That to me, after the 6 years that I've just kind of come out of, would be a lot more work versus more gain in a way. So then, and also if you were to ask me back in 2019 what my 5-6 year plan was, Rooted Acres wasn't even on the table. So I like to say now I could have a plan, but I'm okay with it flowing in different directions. So at this stage, my goal would be for Rooted Acres to be a 12-month program. I find right now we don't have an indoor arena, so we are operating more spring till fall, which is fantastic. But in the 5-year plan, it'd be offering full running summer camps for large group of children, different age groups. I would be doing more of like these wonderful podcasts. A goal for 5 to 6 years would have more virtual options for families all across Canada to connect with PROCARE in different capacities. And I'm doing workshops. So a big goal is for my workshops to grow and that I'm reaching more people. It's something we just started up again this year since pre-COVID. So yeah, I think the 5 to 6 years is maintaining and growing Rooted Acres and more reaching PROCARE families beyond our brick and mortar, because we are full. We have a 3-year wait list. I cannot offer anything to families within our PROCARE walls, but PROCARE in itself, the messaging, the teachings, all of that can still reach wider audiences. So that would be a bigger goal for me.
Oh, that's exciting. Oh, I'm very happy for the future. This sounds wonderful.
Thank you.
So, Tiffany, what do you do outside of work? Like, do you have any hobbies? What do you do for fun?
I ride my horses, which is also kind of work now, but I love that. I spend time with family and my husband. I'm very invested in my nieces and nephews' lives, all my godchildren. So I love, doing outings with them, auntie days. I find that is enjoyable.
You call them auntie days? That's cute.
Auntie days, yeah. So we go, whether we shop, we go fishing, we do whatever the kids want to do. And it's really 100% child-led. Like, what do you guys want to do? It's your day with me. So I just love showing up for the people in my world and whatever they're doing. So if they have a charity event or a birthday or anything, to me, that's what I love to do on my spare time, is be part of the people in my world and my animals mainly. Yeah.
Yeah. And something you touched upon, being present, being in the moment, working on the business, but always realizing that, we all have limited time.
Yep. And I also joke too that I never not work. Like, I feel like 24/7 I work, but it's because the work that I chose is my passion. It is my hobby. It is my lifestyle. So for anyone that is, trying to think about what is it that they want, if they love baking, if they love art, if they love singing, if they, whatever it is that they love to do, and like I mentioned, there's always opportunity for business. Yes, opening up a business is not just do what you love. You learn along the way, and there's other components that you got to consider. But if you love doing something and you can offload the hard parts of your business, you could kind of do what you love all day, every day. And you'll notice when your business is shut down, you're still dreaming up different ideas, like talking about the virtual things. That's also part of my hobbies. I do that on my off time, and it's because I love what I do.
Yeah. Oh, that's so important. And that's an inspiration right there, Tiffany. So Tiffany, we're coming to the end of our segment. Is there any other words of wisdom that you'd like to elaborate on further?
Oh, well, thank you. I just want people to find their why in life and to know that when times get tough or hard, it's okay to say you're not okay. It's okay to take a pause and reevaluate, whether it's business or on a personal level. And don't ever feel like if you have to restart or reset, you failed. Life is about pivoting, like we mentioned in this podcast. So working on your mindset and loving yourself allows you to show up as your best person, to share kindness and goodness with the world around you.
Wonderful. Oh, I love those closing words. Tiffany, how can somebody get in touch with you, please?
It's easy to contact me through social media. So at PROCARE Family Center or at rootedacres_PROCARE. So whether it's PROCARE, Rooted Acres, or Tiffany Drummond, you are welcome to contact me.
Wonderful. Thank you. So I'd like to thank entrepreneurial leader Tiffany Drummond of PROCARE and Rooted Acres on our episode of Talk to the Fedora. We hope that this segment has provided some wisdom that you can use to grow your small business. So please subscribe to the eSAX YouTube channel and be sure to check out some of the hundreds of other videos across multiple playlists for additional great entrepreneurial content. Tiffany, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you very much for having me, Jarrod.
Thanks for watching. For more great entrepreneur networking tips, subscribe to our eSAX YouTube channel because eSAX makes networking work.